This is the legendary Rosebank Distillery, a true powerhouse of the Lowlands. Records show that whiskey has been produced here as early as 1798, with Rosebank's legacy continuing for hundreds of years until it was closed by Diageo in 1993. Since then, it has laid quiet, and whiskey lovers have been left dreaming of the day when the exquisite liquid would flow once again from these storied stills. That day finally arrived in 2017, as Ian MacLeod acquired the distillery and began to breathe new life into this historic gem. Pouring immense passion, time, and resources into every detail, the transformation of Rosebank was swift, as this family-owned business returned the lowland giant to its former glory. And the real magic? Rosebank is a truly unique single malt Scotch, as it is both triple distilled and condensed using traditional worm tub condensers. This meticulous process creates a spirit that is unlike any other. Join me as we dive into the revitalized heart of Rosebank and explore the magic behind this exceptional whiskey. So Gordon, we've just come from an incredible immersive experience there in the old part of Rosebank buildings, really giving you such an insight into the history of this phenomenal distillery. I mean, I thought I knew a lot about it. I thought I was passionate, and now I'm so much more passionate. It's incredible to see where it's come from. Obviously, these last 30 years for an enthusiast like myself have been tough. But standing now in this new part of the building, I mean, my God, I'm very excited to show you what's going on behind the camera here in this new building. But before we get to the new stuff, we're actually standing right in front of the only original, truly original piece that's untouched, unchanged, and has actually been here since 1936. Is that right?
That is right, yeah. It came from another very famous distillery that's actually reopened this year as well.
Right,
Port Ellen. Yeah,
fantastic.
Exactly. So, I mean, the only thing, of course, it's had some of that peated stuff running through it historically, but obviously years and years of unpeated, because
absolutely,
Rosebank, of course, is unpeated.
Yep.
But yeah, this was in a bit of a state, like the distillery was.
Okay.
But the well-known in the industry, Ronnie Lee, he basically's got the whole business of mills tied up, did a brilliant job on refurbishing this. And we have a brilliant mill that is one of these, you hear about them in distilleries, either Bobby or Porteous mills. They're all really old. They're all a victim of their own success because they never break down.
Yes.
That's why we wanted one.
I mean, it's phenomenal to see that this has been in the industry for over 100 years. But I mean, at this distillery, you know, nearly 90 years now. It's incredible that it's still intact. And like you say, really a testament to the work of the crafters. You know, Bobby malt mills, they just do not break.
No, they don't. No, they don't. And as you say, absolutely, we really wanted to refurbish it. It was in a hell of a state. It hadn't been used for 25, 30 or nearly 30 years.
Yep.
But a really great example of a mill which, when cared for, delivers and continues to deliver. So if you, like all of these things, if you look after them, they will continue to work.
Absolutely. And if it's not broke, don't bother trying to fix it. I mean, it's just a beautiful display here and a really nice sort of nod to the history of Rosebank. Such a shame that so much of the rest of the distillery was stripped out by thieves and no-gooders, but it's great to see that this has lasted the test of time. And as we go around, actually, you know, your team at Ian MacLeod have done a phenomenal job of actually taking all of the sort of archives, all of the historical bits and pieces, figuring out exactly what everything would have done, how it would have looked, how it would have functioned, and kind of recreating it. Yeah. So whilst this is the only truly original piece, actually the Rosebank of today is a pretty good kind of copy, you know, of the original. It's a pretty good nod to it, right?
Well, absolutely. It's a new distillery. Let's not on exactly the same site, but what legacy that you want to celebrate, you want to recreate for sure. So that has been at the focus of everything we do.
Fantastic.
So that's why even retaining this was important.
Absolutely. All right, well, look, let's move from this mill and around this beautiful open plan spot. I'd love to go over to the mash tun here and find out a little bit about what you're doing once you've ground up all of the malt.
Yeah.
What happens next?
3.2 tons.
3.2 tons.
That's what goes in each time coming through here. We grind it down into that pretty ratio most distilleries use.
Okay.
And we into that mash tun, and we'll have a look at that next.
So Gordon, we are standing in front of this wonderful mash tun. I don't think I've ever seen a mash tun so wonderful and shiny and new. It's great, isn't it?
It is a little new, yeah.
It's absolutely wonderful. So tell us what's happening here. What are we trying to do creating this wort? Obviously, we want loads of sugars going on here, but what is it that you are looking for specifically here at Rosebank?
Well, it's a little similar to Glengoyne. We're looking for clarity. We're looking for a clear wort.
Okay.
So 3.2 tons of the grist, obviously, from the wonderful mill. In here, we've got hot water, all about enzymes. That's why barley's such a wonderful grain and used in so many other whiskies, like in bourbon or even in rye. You need those enzymes, so we have all those enzymes. 63.5 is that temperature that starts to kick-start those enzymes to convert starch into sugar. That's what we're looking for. But what's really interesting here is we need those husks, that part from the grist, to lay in the bottom of the bed to become a filter. That catch some of those solids, giving us a clear wort. In a very general sense, clear wort pushes you down a fruity style.
Fantastic. So already right from the beginning, we're going to start getting that light fruity style before we even become a spirit.
Get this bit wrong, that's not going to save you.
Absolutely.
The point is you need to get it right here, get it right in fermentation, but you get this wrong and you get maybe you change the roller's consistency on the mill, you get a snowball effect, you get problems down the line, and it becomes a nightmare.
And how much toying around then with the mill, you know, obviously getting that back up and running to high functionality, you know, fitting in the new mash tun, how much toying around was there?
They will have been getting dials and moving them. Now that we're set, we won't change anything.
No, absolutely. I mean, I've tried the new make and it's absolutely spot on. Please don't change anything. But was there quite a few sort of...
There would have been.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know, again, a lot, we're using laureate variety at the moment.
Okay.
But I mean, Sassy is another variety that's widely used currently. Potentially slight differences between those that you may need to do something at that here.
Yep.
But in a very general sense, we're not trying to change much. We just want 3.2 tons in here. We want to extract those sugars, ultimately to give us a yield.
Yep.
In terms of the efficiency of a plant is measured in litres of pure alcohol of spirit per ton of barley. So we have 3.2 tons. So we'll come back to that and you multiply that by 410 or 415. If that's what you're making, you can work out how much new make spirit at 100% alcohol you are making.
Fantastic. Okay, cool. Well, let's move here from the mash tun into these beautiful washbacks. Let's talk about the fermentation. I love how open plan this all is. I mean, it really does give you a feel like no other distillery.
And very different to the old Rosebank.
Right.
Old Rosebank was nothing like this. It was higgledy-piggledy. It was
this was there, that was there.
Yeah.
You had to go back on yourself.
Yeah, we have beautiful flow here. So it's really easy for people who are not as whiskey orientated as you or me to understand the process.
The process, yes, absolutely. Process is process is process.
Yes.
So we've just wandered over to the washbacks. Doesn't take long.
No.
Big 20,000 litre washbacks here, but you're saying you fill them up 15,000 litres at a time.
15,000 litres of that clear wort.
Yep.
Sugary liquid. We obviously need some yeast.
Absolutely. So what sort of yeast are you using here?
MX plus yeast.
Okay.
Which is a Maori yeast. It gives us a great pushing us down fruitiness, of course.
Yes.
It's going to really work well with that clear wort. And a 60-hour fermentation.
60-hour fermentation. Okay, so not long past the point of burning out all that yeast, creating the alcohol, you take it out of here. You get all of those estery notes that you want at that stage.
Absolutely,
is that right?
Yeah, and then we will get that beer at 8.5%.
Yep.
Into fermentation, distillation.
Absolutely.
And away we go through that unique process that we'll see shortly.
Fantastic. I see that this washback here is active. Do you mind if I open it up?
Yeah, no, obviously go for it. Yeah.
Fantastic.
This is 9-10 hours into its fermentation.
Okay, so we should be quite active at this point.
Yeah, we should
Kicking
be,
along. Let's have a little look. And it is indeed kicking along. And those smells are absolutely delicious. I mean, this is going to get a lot more active over the next 10, 20 hours.
Yeah, it's
really
going to get
start
more
picking
active.
up. Do you switch those the swishers on? I noticed these big engines on top of all of your washbacks. I bet the building feels like it might take off if you have all of them running at once.
There's a little bit of that, so we have to be careful with the use of those. But,
Right.
I mean, what's really interesting is that, with that beautiful fruitiness, you can smell it already. We're still quite young into that fermentation, but we do use a little bit of anti-foam as well, just to keep the foam down.
Okay.
Which is important for us as well, because you can see we're actually quite near the top.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is. It's bubbling away here. It is pretty full. And sorry, obviously 8 washbacks here. I assume they're all running at different points within the fermentation cycle to allow you to really manage distillation and keep things running. Are you running 24/7 here at the moment?
We are running 24/7. We're doing 17 sort of batches a week. So we're doing 17 of these a week, which is giving us probably up to about 1 million litres a year.
Fantastic. Okay, great stuff. So we're getting the most out of Rosebank. I'm sure everyone at home is going to be delighted about that. And again, we talk about how beautiful and open plan this new building is. I mean, to me, it feels like a function room. You could hold events here. It's just beautiful going from the mill, these washbacks, and already we can see the stills over there. I don't want to run away, but I feel like I'm being dragged that way, Gordon.
What was really important when the design of this was, and I didn't appreciate it till I really saw it, was how important lines are, how important sight lines are, how important, the fact that you can see the stills and the fact that you can see the journey you're going on.
Yes.
And I never really appreciated it. I thought it was all a bit architect speak.
Right.
But actually, when you see it, you're like, yeah, they were right.
It makes such a difference. I haven't been to a distillery like this yet. It really does make a difference. And like you say, for somebody who's coming in, maybe doesn't fully understand whiskey, it breaks it down completely. I don't feel you could leave here and not understand how whiskey is made.
No, exactly. And, we have a lot of people who, we've had a lot of whiskey folk through here in the first 2 months of being open. We've only been open 2 months.
Yes.
2 and a bit months. So, but we've also got a lot of people who are not whiskey folk and are really interested to see and learn about it. So the simpler you can make it, even visually, is really important to them. So if we'd gone round the old Rosebank, they would have been confused.
Absolutely.
And probably covered in pigeon.
Okay, fantastic. Well, look, let's move over to the stills now. I'm really excited to see what's going on there. Gordon, I actually noticed the original chimney is here on the left. It's kind of built into the building as well.
Well, it fits in with that old and new. We want to really celebrate the old elements of Rosebank with the new distillery. So this is such an iconic chimney for the locals. It was a meeting point. It is literally a landmark in the area. So we obviously wanted to keep it and bring it into the fold of the distillery.
Beautiful. So not just a bobby mill, this, the original Rosebank chimney. Maybe it doesn't have a purpose, but my God, it's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely stunning, yeah.
So Gordon, I was just saying, for me, this is where the magic starts to happen at Rosebank. Don't get me wrong, everything we've seen up to this point, it's stunning the work you've done to revamp it, give it a modern glean. But up until now, kind of fairly similar to a few other distilleries, little bits and pieces that are different. But this is where Rosebank starts to really have its own stamp, because it is one of very few triple distilled Scotch whiskies, right?
Yeah, we know triple distilled whiskey is, we associate it with Irish whiskey.
Yeah.
In Scotland, there's very few distilleries that are triple distilled. Rosebank, of course, the king of the Lowlands, it was called, because of the unique style we're looking at, because these are identical stills to the original stills that were stolen in 2008.
Right.
They are 20% bigger.
Okay.
But what you're looking at here is this is what Rosebank is about. This is, every time you taste Rosebank, you need to think of spirit-led whiskey. Arguably the most spirit-led whiskey in the whole of Scotland, in my opinion. And we have this triple distillation setup, which gives us a higher new make strength. And then we have the worm tub condensers, which is the ultimate juxtaposition. The ultimate, really, what is going on here? That's really odd.
It kind of makes no sense, but once you get it in a glass, it makes all the sense in the world, right?
Yeah.
And you guys at home, you can hear these stills whirring away here. It's absolutely magnificent to be in this room. And exactly to that point, Gordon, I mean,
these are, you know, remade on the models of the original. So again, really trying to get that old school classic Rosebank back to life. And we'll see, you know, the wash still has the top cut off. A really unique thing. Tell everyone at home about that. Why did that happen?
Well, that was probably because, I mean, you know, there's stories like this around the industry, but this is what I love. They probably replaced a still and it didn't fit in the building in the old Rosebank. So rather than cause a rumpus, they just cut the top off, get a coppersmith in, do it all, and that's what it was. So our first still, our furthest away still here, our wash still is a flat top. Then we have our intermediate still, the very tall, medium in the middle still, lots of reflux and height and flavor in there. And then this one nearest us is our final distillation.
Absolutely.
And we get a 77% new make spirit strength coming out of that final still.
Phenomenal stuff.
Yeah.
And you were saying, you know, the juxtaposition between triple distilled and worm tub whiskey. I was speaking with Jason and some of the other distillation team here, trying to figure out, so where's the body coming? Is it coming from here? Is it coming? And he's saying, actually, there's a lot of toying around now with the middle still. There's lots of stuff just trying to tinker around. And you'd think that certain elements would change certain things and other bits wouldn't. But actually, it sounds like a bit of a mad and wonderful place to work, because it really comes down to trying it in the glass, you know? This is a modern distillery, lots of computers, but as you've said, and as we've seen the distilling team coming through here, they're checking everything. They're making sure everything's just right. This is a house of real whiskey makers. It's not computerized to the nth degree, is it?
No, and it's not a simple process because of the madness of it and the fact that, you know, we've used the same shade stills. We didn't have any of the existing new make spirit to compare.
Right.
We've used the talent within Ian MacLeod to understand what we're wanting to achieve in terms of spirit style. And they have created this with this spirit through their own trial and error, changing elements, flow rates, temperatures, all of those things with the maddest component of triple distillation and worm tub. And you've tried the new make.
It's phenomenal.
It's fabulous.
It really, really is.
Really,
Yeah, as new make spirit stands, I'm not just saying it because I'm here. It is one of, if not the best new make spirit I've tried in a long time. Phenomenal stuff. And speaking of spirit, can we pop over to the spirit safe?
Absolutely, yeah.
Fantastic. Let's have a little look. So Gordon, obviously we've got the spirit running off the stills, but before it gets to this spirit safe, it's hitting the worm tub condensers.
Yeah.
Now this is really minimizing the contact with copper, keeping that body of whiskey there. And as you sort of said there, it's a real juxtaposition. Triple distilled whiskey, getting it really light, fruity, keeping that character, but then worm tubs. Talk to us about that.
Well, I mean, there's 20 odd distilleries in Scotland with worm tubs, and I think if you were to say to, you know, whiskey folk worm tubs, they would think meaty, sulfury character.
Yeah.
I love some of those whiskeys for sure. I mean, you know, but here we're using them in a different way. And I think when you know, Rosebank was used for blending and it was a lowland whiskey, it had that lighter style, but they wanted an element of that whiskey hanging around a bit more in a blend. And I think that's really, really essential. So we've obviously put worm tubs in. Why would you put the same stills in and not put worm tubs in?
Absolutely.
But it is the ultimate juxtaposition, and the guys have used those worm tubs in a way that they're not actually adding too much character in terms of sulfuriness or meatiness, but they're giving us a little bit more staying power in that spirit, a little bit more of that. When you drink a Rosebank, it hangs around a little bit more.
Yes.
So we'll be looking for that in our new Rosebank to come out of the casks in 6, 7, 8 years.
Absolutely, it does. It really coats your mouth. Like I say, lucky enough to have tried the new make already. But like you said, I don't think it was until the 60s that Rosebank was a single malt. It was a blending whiskey, and to have that really standing out and to be known not only as a top-class single malt when they finally made it as a single malt, but as a top-class blending whiskey, that's not an easy task, particularly for a light triple distilled dram. So fascinating and really, really impressive. I love that you've done exactly the same thing again. More power to you guys here at Ian MacLeod.
And I think if we'd put in shell and tube condensers, the spirit would have been quite different.
Completely different.
And I think shell and tube condensers, while highly efficient, are generally help produce a lighter spirit. They're the main condenser used. But that old sort of snake going round in the vat of water, it's sort of how it was done right many, many years ago. And so for us to have them here, we're really proud of that. And it's what Rosebank is. It's as much as triple distillation is.
Phenomenal.
That juxtaposition.
So tell us then, it's gone through the worm tubs,
Yeah.
condensed, running onto the spirit safes here. Tell us a little bit about the cut points, because I know that this is obviously triple distilled. We're talking about higher strengths of alcohol. So where does it start coming, or where do you take your first cut?
Take our first cut about 80.
Okay, 80%.
Quite a foreshort run.
Yep.
That's got all the nasties. We don't want any of that. 80 down to about 73.
That's
Not a
quite,
huge, but we get
quite
a lot.
high and punchy, but you get a lot in
A
there.
lot of liquid, so that's not minute. That's up to 2 hours of a run.
Right.
And you get a lot of liquid coming out of that. And the average strength is our new make strength of about 77% alcohol.
77%,
Dropped
wow.
to 63.5 and filled into cask.
Phenomenal. Okay, so doing the industry standard. And is that because that was what was done back in the day?
Yeah, I mean, we're assuming so. We don't have too much of those records, but I'd love to have known what the strength was of Rosebank before. We didn't have any new make, so we don't really know. So we're trying to replicate as much as we can. We don't know everything.
Well, as the years
Things
go
have
by,
changed.
I'm sure you might tinker around with little bits here and there as you start seeing it come out of the cask. But I have to say, as new make goes, it really is blowing me away.
It does.
Beautiful spirit safe here.
Yeah, and even looking at the spirit safe, you can see it's not flying out, it's dribbling out, and that's all down to allowing those stills to create that style that we've helped to do so far, and those worm tubs that's going through there and just trickling out here. That's what we're looking for.
Absolutely. So we talk about esters. It's a little bit floral, but again, for me, it's that body of the whiskey that really, really hangs around.
Yeah.
Do you have any new make? Ah, there we go. The man knows exactly what it's all about.
I do.
Let's spray that in the air and have a little.
bit on your hands.
Lovely.
Get this into your.
Oh, I could wear that as a cologne, I tell you.
Oh, I could. Gorgeous.
It's really, really wonderful.
It doesn't seem, this is 63.5, so this has been watered down a little bit.
Yeah.
But, it doesn't appear that.
No.
It's got a beautiful sweetness to it. It's got that body even on the nose.
Yeah.
I want to lick my hand. And it's got that absolutely, even at this strength, if we added water, we'd see it more. That fruity, summery element.
It is.
It's absolutely what we want.
It's stone fruits. I'm getting like peach pits or apricot pits or something.
Yeah.
But there's a lot to it. It's actually quite a, as new make, there's so much going on. There's lots of floral elements.
Yeah, I know.
It's phenomenal. Even just
Okay,
having it on your hands here, it really is exciting to see what's going on here. Phenomenal. Well, look, Gordon, let's move on and see what's happening next, because obviously, aside from the distillation, you've got your warehouse here.
Yeah, we do.
I'd love to see that.
We'll go to the lake.
Let's have a gander. So Gordon, we are now in Rosebank's dunnage warehouse. I appreciate that this maybe isn't, an active warehouse one you're going to use forevermore, but it's lovely to have casks in here for people on a tour, see how casks mature. It's wonderful in here. Maybe up to 100 casks?
Yeah, probably something like that. I mean, we actually have most of our casks. A lot of our Rosebank casks are maturing in the warehouses at Glengoyne and Tamdhu.
Yep.
But of course, we wanted to have some of the casks here, show people the maturation aspect of that new make spirit that we've seen being produced at 63.5, now filled into casks. And we've got them filled into a variety of different casks, as well as some of the original casks that we have from between 1989 and 1993.
Wow, I was going to ask, because I see down there is cask number 1,
Yes.
filled in July 2023, which is
Yes.
just a great thing for people to be able to come in here
Yeah.
and see that. But all the way back to 1989 and 1993 as well.
Exactly. So obviously that's new Rosebank from our new make spirit made by Malcolm and the team here. And yes, you can see on the far wall here, we have some of those old casks that we acquired as part of the deal when we resurrected the distillery. All of those casks between 1989 and 1993, and are reflected, of course, in the products that we have. The 31, the 32, the 33, all of those are available, of course. So yeah, we won't have a whiskey here. How long? Everybody asks, how long will it be? I don't know, 7 years, some maybe 8 years, something like that, because most of these casks are what we call refill casks.
Right, and that's what you're looking for, that style of Rosebank being light and easy, but having that body. You want to make sure it's not shrouded by cask influence, just lightly taken along, really let the distillate shine. Is that right?
That is, you've summed it up beautifully.
Fantastic.
Absolutely what Rosebank's always been about and what we want it to be about. That triple distilled style, that worm tub element, all combining with wood over time to give you that lighter style whiskey, which just is unlike anything else, I think, in Scotland.
Phenomenal. I mean, I'm looking down here. I know Rosebank personally as sort of a more bourbon matured whiskey, although like you say, very refill bourbon casks. I'm noticing some butts down here.
Yeah, we do, yeah.
So you're going to have some sherried expressions, some bourbon expressions, maybe blending different bits and pieces together,
Yeah.
but a variety of different styles.
Yeah, but mainly refills. So yeah, we'll fill the odd first fill and see what happens.
Yep.
These will mainly be refill casks from Glengoyne or Tamdhu. We're filling them up. Most of that colour's already gone out of those casks into that beautiful colour we get in Tamdhu or beautiful colour we get in Glengoyne. That's fine.
Yeah.
We want our spirit to sit in these 500 litre beauties and just take their time to mature and see how that spirit evolves, how that light cask influence marries together with that, and how we get a brilliant whiskey at the end of it.
Phenomenal. Well, I tell you what, the smell of maturing whiskey here is just wonderful. I know it's not an active warehouse that you're going to be using forevermore, but it's just a wonderful touch, a great way to kind of start rounding up the experience here. Can we go down and have a little look at a couple of them?
Yeah.
So Gordon, unfortunately, we're coming to the end of this amazing tour that you've had me on. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to do this. And you've sat in front of me a 31-year-old Rosebank.
Yeah.
What a treat, what a way to finish. Thank you so much. I mean, I've been sniffing this there without the cameras on, and it is absolutely insane. I'm so excited for you guys to start getting the Ian McLeod spirit out in the next 8, 10, 20,
whenever,
31 years.
Yes.
What a joy it will be to be able to compare this one to your one when it is 31 years old, right?
I hope I'm still here.
Absolutely. So tell us, where are we now? This is one of your wonderful tasting rooms. I mean, we've been throughout the building and you've got a myriad of great tasting rooms. You've got so much space to do different events and bits and pieces. Why have we chosen this one to finish up in?
Because I just love that. This is our tasting bar. This is for our bigger groups. But it's just great because I've got this. It's got this feeling of just a nice place to sit down after a tour and start to do a little bit of nosing in a really relaxed atmosphere. And our distillery ambassadors are so brilliant at conveying, whiskey notes and whiskey elements to people who maybe aren't so whiskey orientated. And we have different tours for different type of visitors, depending on your budget, depending on what you want to get out of your visit to Rosebank. So
fantastic. For the people at home, what are those tours? What do they entail?
Well, the first one is the Reawakening tour, and that's very much a tour aimed at your novice, maybe somebody who wants to come and visit Rosebank, understand about Rosebank, but you don't actually, unfortunately, get to try any of the 31 because it doesn't make sense in terms of the scarcity of the product. £25, you'll come in, do the tour as we've done, then you come in here and you taste a Glengoyne and a Tamdhu, as we can see them both behind us.
Absolutely.
And you'll understand a little bit about Ian McLeod's portfolio of whiskies. You'll obviously get some new make spirit as well to nose. So you do get some Rosebank. Well, you just not the old school Rosebank. Well, that's absolutely true. Yeah. And then we have the next tour up, which is the Rekindled. The Rekindled tour brings in one Rosebank into that experience. And if you really want to taste some whiskey, some of that old stock, that's the tour for you. Okay. Another hour and a half to an hour and 45 minutes of a great tour. And of course, tastings from Rosebank like we are in this beautiful glass that we've had specifically made to drink Rosebank out of. They are stunning glasses. I've said this to you non-stop throughout the day. Every time I see them, they're absolutely stunning. Really, really just wonderful. And this is the thing, throughout this whole tour, I love what you guys have done with the brand. We talk about the liquid, we talk about the infrastructure that you've got here, but actually the brand, you've left it quite clean, quite simple. Mm-hmm. You've changed it ever so slightly, but you've kept that original authenticity to it. Yeah. And I love that. Don't mess with a good thing, right? No, don't change it if it's not broke, we really wanted to keep it clean. We really wanted to keep it fresh. We didn't need to do very much. It's a little bit, I call it, if you look at another brand, and I used to work for this brand, Lefroyg's a classic example. Lefroy, we all know what Lefroy is. You can't change it. It's a green bottle, it's a white label, it says Lefroy. It's a fabulous whiskey if you love that style of whiskey. Rosebank, everybody had a vision of what Rosebank was. We were never going to radically change it.
Right.
And that's what was very much our sort of plan for this. And I think it's come out perfectly. The whiskies are great. The new make spirit's great. The whole Rosebank experience, whether it's the old whiskies, which we have, or the new Ian MacLeod whiskies, which are coming on via the new make, very, very happy where everything is.
Absolutely. And you're absolutely spot on. I mean, the buildings here, it's that perfect blend between the old and the new. The experience in the tour that we've been on is the perfect blend between the old and the new, you know. There's beautiful old bottles here and the new make we were trying just a moment ago.
Yeah.
It's really, really wonderful. And I think the branding does stand out. It's clean, it's bright, it's everything that this sumptuous spirit is, you know? So I absolutely love it for that reason. So you've got those two tours, and then there's a high-end tour if you are somebody who's a real connoisseur who wants to get involved as I have done today.
Yeah, if you want to really try the differences between Rosebank 31, 32, 33, which is the distillery-only cask, or release, I should say, then you can come and try 3 Rosebanks. So you generally, we include the flora and fauna, which is just that iconic. Most people know about the flora and fauna 12-year-old. We include the 31, and then you actually get to choose the third whiskey that you want to try from a selection of 3 or 4.
Okay.
That's a 3-hour experience. It's a real deep dive into Rosebank. You're going to get a fabulous tour. You're going to look at new make spirits. You're going to really come away with probably one of the best experiences I think you can in terms of real deep dive into brands. So that's our top tour. There's going to be more coming in the future, but the biggest thing for us, and this is what's really important for us here, this distillery is for Falkirk. So we wanted to have an accessible tour because we know that these whiskies are expensive. And they're not for everybody. People can't afford whiskies like that. But we want to make this an accessible distillery. So from even the street that you walk into, you can walk through there all day. It's open to the public. To coming on a tour, you can get in amongst it with that new make spirit. You can come away going, I've seen Rosebank. I'm really, really, really excited by it. So that was our plan from the start.
Well, plan achieved, right? Because I'm going to be leaving here today telling everybody about Rosebank. I'm beyond excited. It's phenomenal, the work that you've done here, the time, the effort, the dedication to every fine detail. Nothing has been left just, we'll leave it like that. It's just perfection everywhere you look, and you know, we're enjoying that perfection in the glass now. So Gordon, thank you so much for taking the time to share the story of Rosebank with everyone at home. It's been a phenomenal tour, actually one of my favorites to date.
Means a lot.
I'm going to really enjoy watching Ian MacLeod grow Rosebank over the coming years.
We're all excited. We just really want to get it in a bottle, but we're only a year into it. We've got a bit to go.
You've got patience, haven't you? Well, listen, I cannot wait to see Ian MacLeod growing Rosebank. Here's to Rosebank, here's to Ian MacLeod and yourself. Slàinte.
Whilst I hope you've enjoyed our tour here on the Whiskey Baron channel, I can only encourage you to get over to Falkirk and get involved with Rosebank to experience it for yourself, as there is nothing quite like being here, taking in all the smells, all of the surroundings, and most importantly, trying some of their incredible liquid. For now, that's all from us here at the Whiskey Baron channel. Please make sure to like and subscribe so we can bring you on the next distillery tour. But for now, that's it from us here at Rosebank Distillery. We'll see you next time. Slàinte.